Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Tashina from Logical Harmony. I upload videos here on YouTube 3 days a week. All the products that I use are cruelty-free and vegan, and today I'm going to be doing a Foundation Friday on the Photobalm Powder Foundation from the Balm. This came out pretty recently and a lot of people have been requesting that I do a Foundation Friday on it. So what I'm going to do today is apply this foundation and then do check-ins throughout the day so you guys can see how it wears on my skin. So if you want to learn more about this foundation, just keep watching. I'm going to start with the Luminous Primer from 100% Pure. I think when using a powder foundation, it's really important to pick a primer that works really well with your skin. So for me, since I have combination dry skin, I want one that's going to be very nourishing throughout the day because I'm not going to be getting that from the foundation in any way. So I'm going to start with just one pump and press that into my skin. And before this, I did wash my face and moisturize it really well. So I used the Geranium drops from Skin Owl, and then I used the Pacifica Kale, I believe it's the Cactus and Kale. It's in the orange tube. I'll link to it down below, but I used that moisturizer too, just to make sure that my skin was even more prepped for this foundation. And because it's a powder foundation, I'm going to apply my cream products first. So I'm going to apply first the Pro Pencil from Anastasia Beverly Hills, just underneath my brows to give them a little more shape and definition. And then I'm going to conceal using the Second Skin Concealer from 100% Pure. This is in the shade White Peach. And to blend both of those out, I'm going to be using this little sponge from Eco Tools. This was from a color correcting quad. Each one I found has a different thickness and consistency to it. It's definitely an interesting quad to check out. I feel like you're gonna use them all very differently. I'm not sure how I feel about this one in particular for concealer. It felt like it was not really blending the product that well, but kind of just taking it off the skin. I'm going to apply a little more concealer just to those darkest spots underneath my eyes. And I really just used that concealer on my under eye circles and places where I felt like I needed a little bit extra coverage. I really want to test the coverage of this foundation because it claims to have really good coverage. So I didn't want to use a whole lot of concealer for that reason. So I'm going to go ahead and go in with the powder foundation. I'm going to start using the Beauty and the Base brush from MOTD. And I do have this in the shade Light Medium. They have a really helpful video on their site that'll help you color match, and it shows actual human beings putting this on. So it is really helpful to pick your shade. I'm still not sure I picked the right one. I do think that when it's shot with professional lighting that's very bright, it can be hard to tell, and I'm not sure how accurate their swatch photos are. So I think this is a decent match, but we'll see. Let's see once I put it on. And the way that their video showed people applying it was just tapping it on. Typically, like with mineral foundations, you want to tap it on and then blend. But when I watched their tips and tricks video all the way through, I saw that none of their models were doing that. So I'm going to try just tapping it. And when they did this on the video, pretty much all of them, their imperfections just instantly vanished. And it didn't say what they had prepped their skin with, so I'm curious if they had like a BB cream or a CC cream or something like that on underneath. This shade is definitely too light for me, so I will be going in and bronzing up some. That difference between my face and my neck is a little ridiculous. So I would definitely buy darker in this than you think you need to. I'm not sure if even at my fairest this would be a good match for me or not, because right now I'm pretty fair for me. That being said, that means this is probably a good option for those of you who do have very fair complexions and are having a hard time finding a light powder foundation. And now that I have the foundation on, I just want to take a look at it a little more close up. In the monitor, the coverage does look pretty good. In my mirror, I can still see like my freckles and stuff. It's not like a full coverage, but I just want to look at it up close and see how it's looking. It does look really nice. It's a really nice finish. It is kind of already, settling into my pores. I bet if I had used like a pore filling primer or something like that, it probably wouldn't have that issue. But I wanted to use a primer that I knew was going to keep my skin moisturized throughout the day because that's a bigger concern for me. The coverage does look really even. It looks very natural. I'd say this is like a good medium coverage. So you can still see your skin peeking through, your freckles, things like that, but it does look very, very even. It did blend a little weird on my eyelids. Hold on. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and do my face makeup. So I also got the highlight and contour from the Balm. This top is a gigantic mirror. I really, really appreciate that. These are your highlight shades. There's 2 that are shimmery, 2 that are matte, and that has some contour shades and blush shades. So I'm gonna go in with that lighter contour shade first, and I'm going to be using the MOTD Supermodel Sculpt brush. So I think this is awesome because it kind of has everything you need in one palette, and I think that's really, really handy, especially for traveling, and combine that with the gigantic mirror. If this performs well, it could be a really, really nice travel palette. I feel like my face looks really flat right now. I'm gonna go in with the darker shade and just apply that a little bit to my cheeks. And I'm just trying to blend that out really, really well so it just gives a little more color back to my skin. I'm gonna go ahead and contour my nose. I believe this is an eye-catching crease brush from MOTD. So I'm gonna use that lighter contour shade to contour my nose and under my lip. I'm gonna go in with this blush. I'm using the Get Cheeky With It brush from MOTD. For highlight, I'm going to use the MOTD Mr. Handyman brush. So I'm gonna first take this one, which is 500 Hertz, and put that underneath my eyes, brighten that area up a little. And then I'm going to take this shimmery one here, which is 64 Hertz, and apply that to my cheekbones. That is pretty nice. Okay, I feel like the other products are not going on very pigmented on top of it, and I'm not sure if that's the foundation or if this palette just isn't very pigmented. I'm gonna look at it close up and just see how everything is laying together. So everything is laying really nicely. The foundation still looks good. It is, you know, like I mentioned, settling in on my pores, on my cheeks. But yeah, I think it looks good overall. The shades in this palette are definitely, I don't know again if it's them with the foundation or them on their own. They're not very pigmented, but they do blend out really nicely. So I feel like you could probably work it up more if you wanted. I'm gonna go ahead and finish up the rest of my makeup off camera, and then I'll be back for another quick check-in. I just finished my makeup. It took me half an hour, so I thought it'd be a good time to do another check-in and just let you guys know how everything is laying before I start the day and space out the check-ins more. I feel like the foundation's actually looking better. It is still settling a little bit there, but it seems to be more like melding with my skin. And I feel like everything looks really nicely laid on top of each other. I'm not seeing any weird issues or any cause for concern. The coverage is really nice. It is like a nice medium coverage. I definitely can't complain about it. And I feel like the finish is good too. It's not too mattifying. And I was worried about that with a powder foundation. So I'm going to do a couple more check-ins throughout the day and show you guys how this is wearing on my skin. It's now been 5 hours since I first applied the foundation, so I thought it would be a good time to do a check-in. As with all the other Foundation Fridays, I'm not touching up my makeup at all throughout the day. I think that on the monitor, it still looks really good. In my mirror, it does seem like the coverage is fading, so I want to look at it close up and see how it actually looks. So it's still looking good. I have to say the spots where it was settling into my pores earlier, it hasn't continued to do that. So while I can see them, if I really look, I can see them. Honestly, it kind of looks better than it did before this morning. It is clinging to my dry skin a little bit more than it was earlier. And I do feel like there are some spots, mostly down here where I tend to get oily, the coverage is fading. It's really not bad though. You know, if I wasn't doing a Foundation Friday, I would probably just touch it up very, very lightly at this point, just to add back a little more coverage, mostly here on my chin. Overall though, it's looking good. It's not feeling heavy. It's not feeling cakey. It doesn't feel drying either, which again, I know I mentioned this earlier, but I was concerned with the powder foundation that it would be drying on my skin. So I'll do at least one more check-in today, and I'll see you guys back here in a bit. It's been 12.5 hours since I first applied the foundation, so this will be my final check-in. From looking like in the mirror, it still looks pretty good. The coverage is definitely faded, but again, on these days, I don't touch it up, so that's part of it. I don't know, it has a nice finish. It's pretty matte, but it has a little bit of glow to it. I think because I used a Luminous Primer. I'm gonna go ahead and look at it close up and let you guys know how it's doing. Okay, so it's definitely started to separate. Actually in a lot of areas on my face. Just areas right here, mostly on the sides of my nose and on the tip of my nose, which is pretty normal for me. It is definitely losing coverage underneath my eyes with the concealer and really clinging to some dry skin right there and here and here and here. So it's definitely continued to cling to my dry skin. It still looks pretty good. It doesn't look amazing. And I think that's just because I do have skin that's on the drier side. I think if I had more oily skin or had used maybe like the Marc Jacobs Beauty Primer or something was a little more heavy duty, I think it might have worn a little bit better. But I think if you have oily skin, this could be a really great option to try out. I think if you have dry skin, it might not be the best. I'm on the fence about if I'm going to keep it or not. The main reason being because this shade was a lot lighter than I was expecting it to be. So I might just exchange it for a darker shade. I think that's definitely worth keeping in mind if you're going to order it because it is the Balm. I think you pretty much can only get it online. So shade matching is tough. Again, I ordered the shade light medium, which because I'm not self-tan would normally be a good match, but this is pretty light. You can see the big difference between my face and my neck. I'm not even sure if I think the medium might have even be too light. So I think if you have darker skin, this product isn't gonna work for you, but if you're someone that's very fair and struggles finding a good powder foundation that matches, there are a few shades lighter than this one, so I think this might be a good option for you. As far as powder foundations go, I think it is pretty decent. I don't think it is amazing, but I'm glad that I tried it, and for the price, I think it's pretty good too. I think this might be good, and I might try it to set a foundation and kind of see how it works that way to give a little extra coverage, maybe with the Jane Iredale Glow Time BB cream, because that's a very moisturizing foundation, but this shade won't work with it at all, so I'd have to get a new one. I can see in the summer this being a really good one though, especially if you're gonna be out and about where you want really lightweight makeup. I think this is a good option. It definitely feels very light on the skin. If you've used this, leave a comment down below, let me know what your thoughts are, and I'll see you in my next video.